Another day, another dollar, or in this case, another Armada fleet build. Today, we're going to be doing the Empire. Same rules as always. We're only using the ships and upgrades available in the core set. And then we're also going to try to make the build as simple as possible so that a beginning player who's completely new to the game, they can play with this build, no problem. Alright, now, I have very rarely flown the Empire. Besides Republic, it's probably my least flown faction. So, I'm not an expert, but luckily, I think the Empire is probably the easiest of the factions to fly with, because they have huge tanky ships that shoot a whole lot of dice. So, it's pretty simple to grasp that you fly at your enemies, you shoot them with your incredibly powerful front arc, and there you go. Simple. Now, for this build, because we only have access to the starter kit, we're going to have to use just Victory class Star Destroyers, which definitely limits our options. As with the Rebel fleet build, a core set only comes with half of what you need for a 400-point game, and the general way that people get into Armada is they buy 2 core sets, and then they split up the components between the 2 players. So one person takes all the Republic stuff, and the other person takes all of the Empire stuff. Hopefully we'll see a re-release of this core set with, you know, just the Empire and just the Republic, just the Rebellion, so it'll make it easier for people to get in with these 2 factions. But for right now, we have to deal with the fact that we don't have very much. But I'm going to assume you've got 2 Victory class Star Destroyers because you bought 2 core sets. If you don't have 2, it's pretty simple. You just get rid of one of the ships on this build. And we'll do it at the very end to show you what you can do if you just have 1 core set. Now, we're going to fly a Victory 2, and we're going to fly a Victory 1. The reason for this is because I want to give a new player access to all the different mechanics that I can without overwhelming them, and giving them access to both blue dice and black dice, I think, personally, will help them to better grasp ranges, and it'll teach them how to fly their ships properly quicker. So, that's my mentality here. It just gives some variety and helps the new players to grasp all that the Empire has at its disposal, which is to say, giant danger triangles that shoot a whole lot of dice straight out the front. Alright, now, let's go ahead and use the commander. Only 1 comes in the core set, so we're sticking with Grand Moff Tarkin. He is a good commander. Definitely worth the 28 points. I would think that in the original release of the game, he was 38, or maybe it was 35. But he's pretty good. I wouldn't say he's worth that much, but he's definitely top of the line. Each time that you resolve a command... actually, hold on. At the start of each ship phase, you may choose 1 command. Each friendly ship gains a command token matching that command. So, at the start of the ship phase, you go... I want a fleet token, and then all of your ships gain a fleet token. That easy. It's just increasing flexibility. It increases what your ships are able to do. Early game, you see this a lot with Concentrate Fire, and then as the game winds on, you start to see a lot of engineering tokens getting handed out because you're starting to take some damage. But I think he's a great commander, and he's the only one that comes in the core box, so he's the one that we're flying. I'm putting him on the Victory 2. The reason for this is because it's the longer ranged ship, so we can keep the Victory 2 out of harm's way a lot easier. Now, let's go ahead and put a Gunnery team on the Victory 2, and just while we're at it, on the Victory 1. Now, Gunnery team got a huge debuff in the Armada 1.5, or when all of the changes to all of the cards happened, Gunnery team got a huge nerf. It used to be just so good that you could fire out of the front arc of a Victory at 2 different ships, or at the same ship but different hull zones, and it was just so nice because you could double arc out of your single hull zone, and now, unfortunately, each of your hull zones cannot target the same ship. So if you use Gunnery Team to fire twice out of your front arc, you have to target 2 ships, which is really frustrating and disappointing because I'm so used to old Gunnery Team, which was just so good. But such is life. So Gunnery Team, it simply allows you to take advantage of that front arc a whole lot more. For new players, I think this is really helpful because it lets them throw a lot more dice out of the front, and assuming that 2 people are of equal skill level, their opponent is probably not going to know to avoid the front arc nearly as well, so Gunnery Team can hopefully help you capitalize on that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and throw Expanded Hangar Bay on both of these ships. Where's that? There it is. Expanded Hangar Bay just increases your squadron value by 1. We're going to be running a lot of squads on this build, simply because the starter kits come with a whole lot of TIE fighters. So we're going to have a whole lot of squads on the table, and we want to be able to push those. So having a squadron value of 4 instead of 3 is going to be really nice. Alright, now this is the Victory 2. It's got some blue dice, so let's go ahead and give it a blue dice upgrade. The only one that comes in the core box is Overload Pulse, which you will exhaust all but one of the Defender's Defense tokens. No, all of the Defender's Defense tokens on a blue crit. So we're going to go ahead and give the Victory to that. So if you blue crit when you're shooting with some blue dice at, I don't know, a CR90 or something, you can exhaust all of their defense tokens, which, that's going to be real nice. Then on the Victory 1, let's go ahead and do the same thing, but now it's with black dice. And the black dice upgrade that comes in the core set is Assault Concussion Missiles. On a black crit, you get to exhaust this card, and each hull zone that is adjacent to the defending hull zone will suffer 1 damage. So you're going to just have a little bit of an area of effect attack using the Assault Concussion Missiles. It's a really powerful card, especially if you can get this Victory 1 into close range and with the front arc, because you can throw 3 black dice, hit with a crit, do a bunch of damage, and go ahead and damage some extra hull zones while you're at it. Really good card. Let's round off the Victory 1 with the Dominator title, simply because it is the title that comes in the box, and when you are attacking at close to medium range, which a black dice ship tends to do, you get to spend up to 2 shields from any of your hull zones, and you get to add that number of blue dice to your attack pool. So you can increase your attack pool with some blue dice. So it's going to be real nice. You could also, if you wanted to, throw this on the Victory 2, just because it will increase your blue dice pool. The reason I'm putting it on the Victory 1 is because you tend to be at close to medium range more with a black dice ship, and we already have 4 upgrades on this one, so putting 4 on this one is just symmetrically satisfying. Alright, so that is our 2 ships. There's the Victory 2 with Grand Moff Tarkin Gunnery Team, Expanded Hangar Bay, and Overload Pulse. And then there's a Victory 1 with Gunnery Team, Expanded Hangar Bay, Assault Concussion Missiles, and Dominator. Let's go ahead and add some Squadrons. The only ace that comes in the core set is Howl Runner. That's not to say she's not phenomenal. You get to add blue dice to the attack pool of friendly squadrons with Swarm at distance 1 of you. And considering how many TIE fighters this set comes with, we're going to be at distance 1 of a lot of friendly ships a lot of the time. So this is not an ability that's going to go to waste. The game comes with 6 TIE fighters. I mean, the total, you know, added together, we get 6 TIE fighters. Does this make sense? I hope this is making sense. Hold on. Let me just... Okay, so the Empire gets 6 TIE fighters. 6. However, we have 2 boxes, so there's going to be 12. Howl Runner is one of them, so we have 11 TIE fighters on the game board. Which is just disgusting. That is so many squads. You're gonna be fine on squads. And that's why we have Expanded Hangar Bay, just so that we can hopefully push them a little bit better with our ships. Alright. I can't... As I've said before, don't fly... don't fly with objectives your first couple of games. It just makes it more difficult. But if you absolutely have to, here's the ones I suggest to teach objectives: Most Wanted, Contested Outpost, and Dangerous Territory. But again, as a beginner, you want to be focusing on learning to fly and learning to shoot and learning how to use your upgrades. But that's the build. It's pretty simple. We've got a Victory 2, a Victory 1, and then 11 TIE Fighters with Howl Runner. So 12 Squadrons. Very squadron heavy. But you do have the squadron capacity to deal with it. If you put 2 squad commands, one on Victory 2 and one on Victory 1, plus Grand Moff Tarkin gives you 2 squad tokens, you've got 5 squad and 5 squad. You're gonna be able to push most of your squadrons towards the enemy ships. And while TIE Fighters don't hit hard against enemy ships, if you start actually clumping up on them, those blue dice are gonna add up. So, plus they've got Swarm, which is real nice, and Howl Runner can give them extra dice. So trust me, it is a squadron screen that is worth writing home about. Although, in my experience, flying as the Rebellion against the Empire, the X-Wings make very quick work of TIE Fighters. So, I don't know. It's going to be up to you to figure out what happens in your game. It all depends on how the dice get rolled and how the squads are getting flown. But yeah, so here's the build. If you do only have one core set, what I would recommend is, instead of the second Victory 1, you go ahead and you add Dominator to the Victory 2, and then we decrease this down to 5. And you've only got a 200 point build here, which isn't optimal, but that's what you have access to with the core set. So this would be my build if you've only got one core set. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you stick around for more Armada content. Yeah, hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers!